All right, everyone. Welcome to the Shirt Lab workshop, how to automate quoting and production workflow. And I'm Marshall Atkinson, and with me is Zach Dewhurst with Deco Network. How you doing, Zach?
Doing great, Marshall. Glad to be on this workshop.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm anxious to hear all about your platform, and we got some housekeeping to do real quick. So I want to do that, and then we can get to the action, right? You can see my screen, correct?
We are good.
All right, so here we go. So first off, would love it if you're not a member of Shirt Lab Tribe, you consider joining. So you can just go to shirtlabtribe.com. Membership is $97 a month, and that pays for 100% of your employees in your shop. We do a lot of really fun stuff during the year. We got a lot of activities. We have open office hours, which Zach, you've been a part of for about a month now, right? 6 weeks, I guess.
Yep.
And what have you learned? Have you learned something on those calls since you joined?
Marshall, I now get paid to go to virtually every trade show throughout the year, and I learned so much through the Shirt Lab community. I feel like I learn a lot more because a lot of times you go to a show, which by no means are shows not awesome. They really are, but you get a lot of biased, sales reps trying to tell you, hey, this is what you do. And the amount of, community help, whether it's hey, I'm running into this problem, or what would you do in this situation, or I'm looking for this type of equipment. Just that community is just totally awesome. It's like being a part of a private club that are there for each other.
Yep, we're a
There's a lot of,
community.
you
Mhm.
are a community. It's a tribe. I love the industry for many reasons, but one reason I do is we don't look at each other's in the industry as enemies. There's so much business to go around. There's a lot of different business models. And yeah, I can't recommend enough Shirt Lab Tribe at Deco Network. We just started marketing it to our users because knowledge is power. Being a part of a community, though, and sharing ideas and problems with others, it's amazing, the value that it brings. And we at Deco Network are extremely excited. And whether you're a startup shop or that well-established shop, you're going to learn quite a bit and get a lot of great ROI out of that just monthly subscription, because it's amazing what I've learned. You don't know what you don't know, Marshall.
Yeah.
And wow, I mean, it's amazing.
And,
A
and,
lot of fun every
and
Tuesday.
even if you've been in the industry a long time, okay, there's new techniques, there's new consumables, there's new fabrics, there's new equipment, there's new market demands from customers. It never ends, right? And this is what we talk about is really it's about change, right? So anyway, so look at that shirtlabtribe.com. Also, look at these guys, right? So here is Zach's email. If you've got any question on anything that he's covering today, reach out to him at his email address right here. And of course, I'm always available as well. And before we get going too far, we want to just give a shout out to all of our sponsors. These are the companies that really make a lot of things happen. They pay our bills. We have to pay Zoom. This is a Zoom call. Zoom isn't free. We have technology that we have to pay for. And these guys help us put on our live events, our virtual events. They help pay for the software we use and all that kind of stuff. So we really thank them a lot. And Deco Network, by the way, came on as one of our top platinum level sponsors this year. So thank you so much to you guys for doing that. And then lastly, if you need to get signed up, here you go. This is the email address, deconetwork.com. And I'm sure Zach would love to see you in the fold with his company. So that being said, I'm going to stop sharing so you can. And you can just take it away. It's all you, buddy.
All right. A little bit of background about myself. I actually signed up for Deco Network back in 2010. I was a sophomore in college, getting my marketing degree from the Ohio State University, Marshall. Um,
Thanks.
I I found the software and kind of fell in love. I was 20 years old. I couldn't even consume alcohol, and I just found the software and I absolutely loved it. And I still have my shop today. We offer screen printing, embroidery, DTF, DTG, sublimation. All of that's done in house. We'll outsource wide format and promo products. So I've been a user of the software for 14 years now. And around 6 years ago, I became an implementation specialist as an independent contractor. So I've helped hundreds of shops, over 300 shops get started, fully implemented with the software, train their staff, molded it to their needs because, we're in an industry where you have a lot of mom and pop startups and you have those well-established businesses with 50 employees, very different wants and needs. And, Deco Network has a couple Deco pros like myself to help you get started. And around a year ago, Deco Network approached me to be their business development manager and kind of be the bridge between the users, the industry, and the developers. So, I joined the Shirt Lab meetings every week. I cannot suggest enough joining Shirt Lab Tribe. It's just been eye-opening. And we at Deco Network primarily joined, Marshall, like we want the exposure, but we really did it for our own users because we really feel it's going to help them be successful. And if they're successful, they're going to be more successful with our software and stick around. So again, can't recommend it enough. And we're real excited about, keep growing that relationship long term. Can't wait in a couple weeks when we go to Austin and talk again more about automation and so forth. And so that's what we want to talk about today is, using technology and software to make yourself more efficient through automation. And in our industry, Marshall, again, there's big and small. There's a lot of different business models. There's a lot of different ways you can take orders. So when it comes to Deco Network, we like to call ourselves the all-in-one print shop management software. And what I mean by that is Deco Network does three primary functions that a lot of our competitors just focus on one of the three. So the first thing is we provide you with a website, with an online design tool, all of the products from the major suppliers, so Sanmar, S&S, Alpha Broder, among several other smaller suppliers. And that allows your customers to come to your site and kind of get that customink.com, for lack of a better term, experience. So your customers are able to navigate the product mix that you put in front of your customer. Once they find that product, they can use one of the tools within the software, such as the quick quote tool, the request to quote tool, or the design tool to then place an order or request a quote. The second thing that the software does, it allows you to provide websites to your clientele. So whether you need to provide a site for fundraising or your client wants to sell merchandise or they need an ordering portal just to make group orders easier rather than passing around a bunch of pieces of paper, what size you need, what size you need, we do that. So if you think like Order My Gear, Web Store Simple, Chipley, they do this well, but it's kind of the main thing that they do. And then what really is the bread and butter of the software is the production management system, which was what we're going to primarily talk about today. I don't care how you get your order, whether it's, your customer uploading artwork and placing an order through your primary site, or you have an affiliate site, or if it's a walk-in, a phone call, an email. At the end of the day, it's going to flow into production and you need to keep all of that organized. And a lot of your customers, they're still going to want to go old school, email you. You have to be able to put together that order from scratch. So we at Deco Network like to consider ourselves the all-in-one print shop management software because website for you and your customers, websites for your clients to funnel orders into your order management system. And then again, that order management system where pretty much the entire staff lives to keep everything organized, hitting deadlines and so forth. So integrations. Deco Network, like I said, integrates with the three big suppliers in North America. So Sanmar, S&S, and Alpha Broder. All three have live inventory and live purchase ordering capabilities. So you can prevent your customer from purchasing something that's out of stock. And then when it comes time to order it, you can with a click of a button. You don't have to key in and put that order through their site. Deco Network has its own payment gateway, DecoPay. Deco Network went to its own gateway for several reasons, number one being control. So through DecoPay, in addition to debit and credit, you can take Apple Pay, Google Pay, bank transfer, ACH debit. You can pass on credit card fees to your customers. You can control what sites or customers have access to each payment method, and you can have minimums and maximums. So there's just a lot more control since Deco Network went to their own gateway, and you're looking at anywhere from 3.3 to 2.9% plus 30 cents per transaction if you're doing the normal credit card and so forth.
So Zach, if you're using Stripe, you can't use Stripe?
You will pay a fee. DecoPay is powered by Stripe. So it's essentially Stripe, but with a lot more capabilities with it. If
okay, well, Stripe is Stripe is the most popular from shops from what I've talked to people about. So I'm just curious.
Yep. And if you are, Stripe's average transaction fee, 2.9%, 30 cents. If you're on Deco Network's enterprise plan, you have the exact same rates. So there's really no savings there if you're using the enterprise plan, which a lot of our users are. And then ShipStation. So DecoPay takes your payment. When it comes to shipping orders, ShipStation is the biggest. They are essentially the Stripe of shipping. And then when it comes time to for bookkeeping, directly integrate with QuickBooks, Xero. Click of a button, sync your orders. All your revenue is passed from Deco Network to QuickBooks. It's a bit of a no-brainer to be integrated with ShipStation and QuickBooks to make your life easier. So one of the big things, Marshall, that sets Deco Network apart from their competitors is that you don't build just a mock-up when you use Deco Network's design tool. The artwork itself and the quantity being ordered, among other variables, is what determines the decoration price. So when you're on the design tool or your customer's using the design tool, if they upload artwork for screen printing, it's going to break down how many colors we think is in the design. So if you upload even a JPEG, it's going to determine how many colors we think is in the design, and it's even going to look at the shirt color. So if you look at the current logo here in the example, I'm on a black shirt. So that's not really a 2-color for most shops. We actually will treat that as a 3-color. So the software automatically calculates the decoration price when the artwork is uploaded. For embroidery, we count stitches. For DTG, and you have control over each of these of how you want to price it. These are just the most common practices. DTG is typically the size of the artwork, and we can account for the product color if you want to charge more for pre-treating and having that underbase. DTF, it's typically the size of the print. And when I say the size of the print, we're also not looking at the artwork itself, Marshall. We're looking at the amount of film that's necessary. Negative space costs you money when it comes to DTF. We want to look at how much total film are we going to need to use. And it's the same thing with HTV. Typically, we're looking at the size of the artwork, but not the actual bounding box to account for how much of the carrier will be necessary. When it comes to engraving, typically it's per square inch. Every time that design gets a little bit bigger, the price often increases. UV printing, again, typically the size of the print. And there's other methods like sublimation. You can use eco solvent. Deco Network doesn't exclusively say that, hey, this method is supported, but just about any decoration method can be implemented if the pricing is based on, a matrix that looks at the quantity and then either counts colors, counts stitches, or the size of the graphic or the size of the bounding box to determine it. And then something like, again, eco solvent wide format, it's often, hey, a 3 by 6 foot banner is this price. There is no decoration price typically on top of it. And we can again account for a lot. Um, you can upload an image, Marshall, of anything you want, designate where artwork can be dropped on it, what process can be, and how big that box actually represents. Because what you want to be able to do is download the artwork at the correct print size and give the customer feedback based on the file they uploaded. If you upload a small bitmap and you go to stretch it, we're going to tell the customer, can't really do this. You upload a vector and you go to stretch it, no problem, we're good to go. So we're always giving the customer feedback and we're trying to automate, everything. We're not trying to download the artwork and then figure out how big it's supposed to be. Really want to download it at the size and go from there. Pricing tiers and levels. So, Marshall, it's very common with a lot of our users that offer contract or they offer different pricing for different customers or affiliate clients. So you can create multiple price matrix inside of a decoration process, and then you can assign that price level to either a store. So if you're going to be making pre-decorated products and that store is either an on-demand or batch mode, whatever we're going to charge our client before they mark it up to create the final price is going to come down to the price level that they're on. So we can charge the exact same, we can have the same exact design, product, quantity, and we could charge 4 different customers, 4 different prices, just based on the site that they're on or if they're logged in or not. So I could have my website, I could have my own customink.com, and I could have 4 different customers on that site. And when they're logged in, their price will be determined based on the price level I have assigned to them. It's all automated. You don't have to be figuring out, what price should they get. You've created your matrices, and then you've assigned them accordingly to your clients.
I have some questions.
Yeah, hit me.
So can we name these differently?
You can name them whatever you want.
And then also we could do more than 6 colors, right?
Yep, that's just my example.
And I can upload a spreadsheet with this, or I gotta manually key all those numbers in.
You got to manually key them in.
Okay. And if we wanted to make a pricing change, like say, hey, it's the beginning of the year, everything is 10% more. Do I gotta redo that, or can I just hit a button and go, it's 10% more?
Nope, you got to update your numbers.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Nope, I do know because I've tested our competitors. I do some SWOT analysis. You can upload this and so forth. Yeah, you save about 10 minutes on the year, but how many things you'll see here in a minute that we are able to make streamlined. But yep, it is a manual updating of pricing. As far as the blank product markup, it is exactly as easy as you were mentioning, Marshall. And that contract price level can influence both the decoration price and the blank product price. So how much you mark up the blank product, I mean, that is going to be a percentage amount that's either a flat rate or a tiered in which you can mark up a blank if you want a lower percentage because it's more expensive. You don't have to, but you can. So, Marshall, what we're about to dive into the software, and I just want to give an overview of essentially the order life cycle. So most shops, they start with a quote before an order. And so you create that quote, you send it to the customer for them to approve it. What the customer's really approving is, again, the mock-up and the price and so forth, the deadline, as you would think. Once that's been approved, then payment terms are met. So they either have to pay for it up front, or if they're on like net 30 terms, they're automatically meeting the payment terms. Then we have an order. And the first thing you're going to do is raise a purchase order with the supplier. Again, you're going to see how easy it is to click a button and all of a sudden order the product from any of our major suppliers. You then, at the same time, have the artwork department take what the customer gave us, because we all know they never can produce a vector, or especially embroidery, you're not going to get an embroidery file. You're going to have the art department digitize or vectorize that artwork And then either you can bypass the customer or send it back to the customer for final approval. By involving the customer and forcing them to click a button that says, yes, I approve, it's up to them to really look at the design. And if there's any issues, they have approved it. It's on them.
Is that approval timestamped? So if we have to, if they have some sort of issue, we know exactly when they approved it?
Yes, sir. Yep. It's we don't want pointing fingers, and like you said, time stamping very important as well, because if you don't approve it in such amount of time, we may not be able to hit your deadline. Um, and then once we physically have the product, so once we've purchased it and received the blanks, the artwork has been prepped and approved by the customer, we're ready to send that order into production. And then once we've produced it, we can ship it. You can again use customer pickup. You don't have to use ShipStation by any means, but for anybody who has used it, they'll tell you it's great software. It's worth every penny. In addition to automating a lot, the shipping rates are great. So highly recommend ShipStation to anybody out there.
Can you
Uh,
use Ship Pirate?
Pirate Ship? Nope,
Yeah.
just ShipStation.
Okay.
That's number ship pirate ship we hear number 2, but pretty much everybody we show ShipStation, they're very happy with it.
Okay.
Just a small transition. So the quote, what all needs to be in a quote? Well, we need pricing that includes the decoration plus the blank product. Any additional extra charges, do we have a color change, screen fee, things like that? Any rush order fees, if the customer wants to pay to have it expedited, they can. Shipping, again, with the ShipStation integration, you can let the customer choose, okay, do you want to use UPS ground, next day, 3-day? And it's automatically calculating the correct shipping rates because our suppliers have told us this is how much each shirt weighs. This is the dimensions when that shirt is folded. We know it's leaving this location and arriving at this location, the customer. So we immediately can spit out that shipping rate and even mark it up within Deco. We, like we're going to show, you can, when you're creating that quote, you're going to put the artwork on the product and your customer is going to get that proof and mock-up that they need in order to give the thumbs up. Again, having the live inventory capability, you're able to confirm that you're not selling a product that you're not going to be able to physically get. You don't want to promise the customer, yeah, we can do it, just to find out the supplier never had the inventory stock for it. And then again, involving the customer, it becomes a lot less of he said, she said, and those problems. Empower your customer, and you won't have to, eat their mistakes. You've empowered them to give you that feedback. So, Marshall, what I'd like to do is actually show you the software and let it speak for itself. So how I like to explain the software, Marshall, is it's really broken into 3 sections. And we're only going to really talk about one today, but there's 3 sections. This is the admin, and the admin just contains all the nuts and bolts, all the settings that drive the software. So this is where we can go into each decoration process, set the minimum, the maximum, what artwork files are allowed to be uploaded, what the artwork fee is if we want to charge one, set up those price matrix and all of the contract price levels. So decoration process is exactly what it sounds like, where you configure all those settings. Within the products is where you can enable supplier products. So we have many suppliers outside of the big 3. Once you've added the big 3, you can go into the account details, put in your account information, which will allow you to take advantage of those integrations. Everything from the supplier product markup, discounts. I mean, you can do a lot with the products. Just know that you can upload an image of anything you want. Again, designate what process can be used with it and let the customer have fun. It was funny. It's not funny, Marshall, but I saw you at the Atlantic City show and a guy came by and, a lot of us are serial entrepreneurs and he was just getting started with the printing side of things. But you know what he comes from? He's a funeral home director. and that's his family's business. And before
Yeah.
you know, I was like, you can upload an image of a pillow and a casket and and I was just blowing his mind of, whoa, you're telling me my customer could visualize a custom casket, the engraving portion and so forth. It's like, yeah, it's totally possible. You can upload an image of anything you want. So the admin contains all these settings for processes, products, and then your general stuff like payment, taxes, shipping, rush order fees. So we have an onboarding process where we go through all of this with you. If you're a larger shop or you just feel overwhelmed, we do have the Deco Pro service if you want, that one-on-one hand holding. But there's also just a ton of great resources, and we're constantly pumping them out. Since Deco Network brought me on, and I have 14 years of experience using the software, and I come from the decoration background, we're really trying to elevate all of our resources for the software and beyond. So tons of great help articles, and our client services team is something we really take a lot of pride in. You can always raise a support ticket. The worst mistake you can make is not ask for help, and we pride ourselves in getting back to you very quickly.
Hey, before you move on from this, I know some of our viewers are in other countries. So is this only in the US, or if they use, if they're overseas somewhere, can they use Deco Network?
So we actually are more geared worldwide than any of our competitors by far. And we know this because of our users in Australia and Europe and the UK. So the software is actually developed in Australia. Then we have an Australian team, a UK team, and then a North American team. Most of our users are in North America, but we have them throughout the entire world. Last week, Marshall, I spoke to users on 4 different continents in 6 hours. Um,
Wow.
so
And boy, were your arms tired.
yeah. And you know what's amazing, Marshall, that I didn't realize until I started consulting? I don't care where you're located in the world. We all face the same problems. We all price things similar. The industry doesn't change that much from
Mhm.
continent to continent. Um, and
Yeah,
yeah,
so I was
so
just
to answer your
looking,
question,
you got pounds, I guess they can change it to kilograms, or the dollar could be a euro, right? Or something like
oh,
that.
yeah, absolutely. And the bigger what makes it a little bit more challenging at times, Marshall, is actually the supplier catalogs, because every order revolves around taking a product typically and dropping artwork onto it, meaning we need the product in here. So we have a catalog team in which all they do is work with the suppliers to get all those products in here so that our users don't have to be uploading their own CSV and things like that. So back to your question, a lot of Australia, a lot of the UK, all of those suppliers, and it never stops. And we're always growing those offerings to the point, Marshall, where we need our users to actually tell their suppliers they want to be on here, because we don't charge the supplier anything. We just want to make it easier for the user. Um, and yeah, so no, very much so worldwide. And the second section over here, Marshall, are the websites. So, like I said, we have 3 plans. Let me break it down there. You have the standard plan, one website. So, if all you want is a website for yourself in which the customer can navigate the product mix, they can place quotes and orders, they absolutely can. But the premium plan is the most popular, and that allows you to launch up to 500 websites. And what's really cool, Marshall, is every website works identically the same way, as in there's nothing throttled back between your 499 sites after your first. It's typically overkill, but you never know when you want to have that second website with a lot of juice. Such as, in the past 5 years with DTF, almost everybody who buys a direct to film printer wants to sell direct to film transfers. Extremely saturated. So we have a lot of users who will set up a website for custom apparel, and then they'll set up a second site for selling transfers, because it's 2 different markets. The people who buy transfers are typically not the ones buying shirts. You may even have a different brand and so forth. But most of these additional sites, Marshall, are typically handed off to a client for fundraising, team, or an ordering portal. The only thing that makes something an ordering portal is it's password protected. And there's just a lot that can go into it, but you can create website templates that are then clonable, and you can really streamline the process of doing it. Love to go over that in a future webinar, Marshall, but as you know, websites, that's a whole nother animal. So let's talk about the bread and butter, which is the third section of the software, and that is called Business Hub, which is the order management system. And Business Hub is where your staff will live. And when it comes to your staff, you can set several roles. You could say somebody's an admin and they can access the entire platform, or they're just the production manager and they can access this portion, or the sales manager, or they both can have sales and production manager roles. And what you're doing is you're simplifying the software for the user, and you're preventing them from destroying something that shouldn't be accessible. So how I like to look at Business Hub is it's really broken up into three sections. The sales and service section is where we can create a quote from scratch and we can edit an order. You can do more there, but that's primarily what the sales staff would do. I need to create a quote that becomes an order. Maybe an order comes in from the site and we have a question, we need to reach out about it, or the customer asked for it to be changed. That's what you do up here. The second section is the processing section, which is where the production occurs. It's where we're going to raise a purchase order with the suppliers, organize artwork for approvals, assign an order to a team member, potentially outsource an order to another Deco Network fulfillment center. It is possible to connect two Deco Network fulfillment centers, and then with a click of a button, pass an order from one to the other, which is becoming more and more common because, maybe you're a shop like mine. I don't have an automatic screen press. I have a manual. I don't want to take that 2,000 piece order and try to do it on my manual. It's just out of my realm. With a click of a button, I can send it to another Deco Network user. They can drop ship, fulfill it for me. And then down here are the accounts. So this is where we store all of the customer and company profiles. So every quote, order, design, anything we do for the customer or they do themselves is stored in their profile. And they also have their own profile they can access through the site, which I'll show here in a little bit. So before we create a quote or an order, Marshall, I just want to show we have companies and customers. There's a hierarchy. So maybe you work with a school district. School districts are the easiest because there's a district office and then there's all those parents and coaches who will represent a team or an organization and place orders. So we can come into companies and set up a company. So before this call, I set up an account for Shirt Lab Tribe. And so every quote, order, design, anything that is placed underneath the company will show up in the company's profile. And if I go into the company's account details, I can assign you to a contract price level. I can assign you to have a specific sales team member. I can make you an account holder. So we'll let Shirt Lab buy on net 30 terms and run up a nice balance before I cut you off. And we can even make it so that designs can be shared across profiles. So if you have a bunch of coaches uploading artwork and all of a sudden they all need the same logo, very easy to do. Once you have launched a company, you can then add a contact. So Shirt Lab Tribe can't really make an order. Somebody, a physical person, is going to make an order. So I'll come into customers and should go back to the company, add contact. Let's find Marshall.
Man, I already owe $18.
Yeah, you do already owe some money, man.
Oh my God, I'm such a deadbeat.
Once we've added a person, a customer contact to a company, we can set their role. And really all that is default. What emails are you getting? Do you want to get an email about every order that's placed underneath the company, so all the individuals? Or are you just a customer and all you're worried about are the emails related to your orders? Or are you the accounting department and all you care about are the invoices and account statements? So you can set up the company, assign roles, and streamline the whole process. You can also even launch a site and make it so that the employees who are purchasing through the site are automatically put as a customer contact on the company. So I can make it so this website's password protected. Employees come and go, so we may not have that list. Well, we can make it so that they come, they place the order because it's password protected. They're automatically adding it to, for example, the Shirt Lab Tribe's account. And then I can hit Shirt Lab Tribe with one statement that says, hey, all these people bought from you, and here's how much you owe us. It's very easy to import a list of companies. So I can import a list of companies, and then I can import a list of customers. And when I do that, Marshall, I can automatically assign the company. So if you already have them mapped together, and when we upload the CSV and I already have that company name in there, we've created that hierarchy. There's nothing manual like I kind of just did. Within a customer's profile, it's just like the company. Every design, order, layout, anything we do for the customer, they do, it's stored here. I can also go into a customer's profile. I don't have to use the company settings, but I made it so that Shirt Lab Tribe had could run up a tab of $10,000. Well, I could say, okay, out of that $10,000, Marshall's allowed to use 1,000 of it. We can limit how much of the total balance can be used by each individual. After you have a customer's profile, typically, Marshall, you're going to create a quote or an order. So we're going to just work our way down this left-hand column. Imagine you have a walk-in, a phone call, an email. We've got to put together a quote. That quote gets approved, becomes an order. Once we have an order, it flows into production. So for a quote or an order, I can put in a job name. I can put in a customer's purchase order number. To create a line item, there's 3 different ways. I can add a previously ordered product. So let's see what Marshall ordered before. Anything that's ever been quoted or ordered can be easily pulled up, just like this. I can also add what's called a freeform product. So there's times where we don't have every item in here. There's also times where you might be using an outside platform. Maybe you're selling promo products and you're doing so through Sage or, ASI or Swagspace, and you need to be able to create one invoice for your customer. Well, you absolutely can do so. You can add a freeform product, type what it is that the customer's ordering. So we'll just call it an 11-ounce mug, although we have mugs in here. White, full color sublimation print. We're going to charge $15. And if I click on this line here, I can attach a file. So that would be typically a mock-up. You can always get your customer billed using a freeform product. It's just not the Deco Network way. It's how a lot of our competitors do it, where it's a lot of text-based stuff. What Deco Network really wants is every custom order to flow through the design tool. So all of the pricing variables are calculated, and we're just not cheating. We're not bypassing things, and it just keeps a lot of things. It's safer. I can't have an artwork approval without the artwork being uploaded in the correct spot and then be able to send it back to the customer for approval once we've swapped it out with the final file. So what you really want to do is add a new product. And again, we're always expanding the product mix. So a product that we've been talking about in the Shirt Lab was the DM108. These are the things you learn at the Shirt Lab Tribe. This used to be a 50-50. Now it's a 60-40. And for the money, this is a great product. So we'll come in here. Marshall, I have the live integration enabled. So I know exactly, in this case, how many Sanmar has of each size of each color. So every SKU. If I try to put together this quote and some things are out of cart, it's going to send up a red flag. Are you sure? Because they don't have all of it. On a website, I can actually stop the customer from being able to purchase something. And I can even put a buffer in there, Marshall. Just because Sanmar, SNS, or Alpha has the product when a customer buys it, doesn't mean it's going to be available when you go to raise the purchase order with the supplier. So we'll load the design tool. We'll come here to customer design and we'll choose the decoration process. So again, full color printing, that's going to be, DTG, DTF. We may be looking at the size. Screen print is going to be counting colors. So let's do screen printing. This is a design that we have on one of those lines. It's asking us, do you want to still use this same design? Because if you do, we're going to look at the total amount of impressions across all lines, and that's what we're going to calculate the decoration price. If you're going to use the same screens, or you can be sewing the same product at the same time, it doesn't matter if it's a different color, if it's a different product, as long as it fits on there, we're good to go. So we'll create a new design, and I'm going to upload a screenshot JPEG because this is what customers do. They never give us a vector. And this is for a screen print order. And obviously, a JPEG is the farthest thing really you want. You want a transparent, really a vector whenever possible, or at least a transparent PNG. But I uploaded a JPEG here, clearly not ideal for screen printing. But
Wait a minute, I didn't give you permission to use that file.
I know. So we know though it's not optimal, and if it's a low res, I mean, I took a screenshot, 72 DPI, and we see well, there might be 4 colors in here. No, I actually want to remove that color. This is probably still white, and we'll remove this. It's not vectorizing it, but it's getting the correct price. It's a 1 color with an underbase. I know what you're going to ask. Well, what if it's white or if it's black? Not there yet. You may not need an underbase with just a white design. So why don't we make it, we'll make it one of my other colors. We'll make it this federal blue. We'll choose a white shirt. And I want you to realize this is 1 color plus an underbase. $13.53 is currently the unit price. Obviously, we need to put quantity in here. If I switch to a white shirt, it went down to $12.73 because it's no longer white plus an underbase. We know and can designate, hey, this shirt color designation requires an underbase. These do not, and have it priced accordingly. So we're not going to order 1 screen print shirt. We're not going to let the customer order 1. So $680 is the unit decoration price. And it's going to change, obviously. So let's make it 48 pieces. And it came down to $485. Let's say the customer wants the same artwork on a different color or just a different shirt completely. Well, it's as easy as copying the line item, and watch the $485, Marshall. It's going to change if the quantity dictates it, because the I'll do the 3601 here. And you can see this is 460 versus 380 because this has an underbase, this one doesn't. And let's just say I did go on a black shirt and I wanted to have a different color. I absolutely could. So you can see that they're linked. I can't change the size of the artwork. If I could, then we'd have to use 2 different sets of screens. So it is able to calculate the price across all the line items and link them as long as it's using the same artwork. And again, you can use the same screens. You can embroider the same designs at the same time. Let's go ahead and get rid of.
I have a question. So if I'm using blue on the white and whatever color you had on the black, right? What color was that?
I still have blue. Let's go ahead.
Oh, it was blue on both. Okay. Let's say it was yellow on the black shirt. Okay. So is there can we have in there for a color wash fee for changing the color in mid-screen?
Yep. So it's not going to automatically trigger, not yet. Color change, and I could have already had this in here as a standard, and all I have to do is add right there color change, and I can associate it to that line.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, definitely need that. So as you can see, we have our line items. We can define the terms, add additional notes if necessary, add some internal notes. But at this point, I'm pretty happy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save and email the quote, and that's going to send the customer an email in which they then has a link to take the customer to their account profile so that they can approve the quote. If we start with a quote, it's not going to become an order until it's been approved and payment terms are met. Now, because I put Marshall here on net 30 terms, we're automatically going to meet those terms. So once it's been approved, we have an official order. So I'm going to hop over.
By the way, I just got an email.
Yeah, I bet you did. Where did we go? Right here. So I'm in Marshall's account profile. So this is the website, customshirts.org, just so you realize that's what I made. And this is the Marshall's profile where he can view both the company and his profile information. So he would have received an email that would have had a link that takes him specifically to this order. So Marshall can come here, see all the different line items in the order. And then sorry, I'm in purchases. Here's your quote that I made. So here's the quote with all the line items. Here's the specific colors that we're using. I even have Pantone numbers in there. And Marshall's going to be able to confirm, yes, it looks good, or he's going to reject it. So if Marshall approves it, we're empowering the customer. We're automating the process. Marshall can approve and say, yep, looks good. And once he's approved it, and like you said, Marshall, like the time stamping, all of this is being recorded and the customer has seen it. And so are we. There's no finger pointing. And now that we have this, it's an official order and it's hanging out in purchases. If we come back to the order management system, it is now in order. And because it's now in order, it flows into the processing section. Here is Marshall's order. Up here, we have order statuses, and then we have production statuses. An order status is not really unique to a process. So the order status are, have payment terms been met? And yes, because Marshall's on net 30, we're good to go. We're then going to raise a purchase order with our supplier. We need to obtain the blanks, and that's true if it's a embroidery, screen, DTF. We're going to count for receiving the blanks. It doesn't do you much good if you can order blanks, but you can't account for when they actually receive, or if the supplier shorted you or there was another problem. Artwork approval, again, doesn't matter the process. We have to have the artwork ready before we can produce. Once these have all been completed, we can begin production. Once production's been completed, we can move into shipping. A production status is unique to a specific process. So in this case, we have a screen print order, and we'll look at this in a second, where we can break down the process of, okay, have the screens been developed? Are we on press? Are we mixing ink? Are we bagging and tagging? We know exactly where the order is at in production. So to kick off the order, the first thing we need to do is obtain the blanks. So we're going to come into purchase orders. You can raise a purchase order one of two ways. You can come in here and raise a PO. And if I did this, it would raise a purchase order for all of my open orders. I, like a lot of shops, I hate paying for shipping when it comes to shirts. So I'm going to accumulate orders and I'm going to make sure I'm above $200 with one of the suppliers and get to free shipping. Or you can raise a purchase order within an order itself. If you're on like Sanmar's PSST program, it's a no-brainer. You're going to raise a PO for just about every individual order. Or again, I could merge it. And when I go to raise the purchase order, you can see this is the exact pricing as if I was logged into Sanmar. If I'm over $200, I know this order is going to ship for free, no problem. So this step is just finalizing your cart. Do you want to add some extra products? Anything really. And I'll just click save. I don't need to add anything. I'm going to save it. And then Marshall, if I want to send it, I could click send, this live send. If I click send right now, I will have ordered these products and they'll be showing up tomorrow or Monday.
Well, don't click it because you don't
I,
need that stuff from me.
I don't. Or you could go the old school route and download the list yourself. A lot of suppliers that aren't the big three, though, allow you to simply shoot them an email. So you do have the ability to do the live send email. It's just you got to make sure your supplier will do it that way. And you may need to give them more time. You don't want to send that last second and think it's going to hit the 4 o'clock deadline because it may not.
So you can add suppliers, right, Zach?
Absolutely. You can add
So
it.
if a supplier isn't the big three and they don't have live connection with you guys, you can create a purchase order and email the purchase order to them, just like like
Yep.
everybody on the planet does.
Yep. Exactly. They just like the automated route more but it's up to them to have that capability so that that order goes bypasses a rep having to touch it. But yes, absolutely.
So if somebody's using a supplier that has an API link, would you guys help getting that set up?
Depends on the size of the supplier. It takes some time. There's also, been some discussions. No idea, nothing going on, but Deco Network has looked at promo standards and that's a whole nother conversation and how it's really trying to get everybody in the industry on the same page. So it's a lot easier. But
Yes,
to answer your
good.
question, yes, we do that, Marshall.
Hmm. Great.
So we're in artwork approvals. While we're waiting on those blank shirts to arrive, we're going to come into artwork approvals. This is where the art department's going to take all that garbage artwork that the customer gives us because they never give it to us correctly. And you can see here, this is what the customer uploaded. This is the final color scheme of one of the versions. So we need to take this, get this vectorized. Once we've had that vectorized, we'll then upload the final version here, and that'll replace it on the product that it's on. We're going to get rid of that crappy, screenshot JPEG. We're going to upload a beautiful vector. It's going to replace itself on here. That's going to be your typical SVG EPS PDF. If you
So,
want to store go ahead, Marshall.
so do we have to have, because a lot of files aren't going to ever be vector because there's some crazy submit process, beautiful
No.
piece of art, right?
Yep.
We don't have to have vector artwork.
Absolutely not. And I recently did a webinar with Corel Trainer, and we were just going over digital art, and vector isn't necessarily better. I mean, you take a photo and somebody wants that photo printed on a mouse pad, you don't want to vectorize it. It's good to go. So there's nothing wrong with a bitmap. It just depends on the process, as that determines what type of artwork is necessary. But no, by no means. And don't think that you have to do anything here if the customer uploaded artwork. It's more of a vetting process for the art department. You don't want the artwork, you don't want to start developing screens before the art department has had a chance to actually look at the artwork and give a thumbs up because they just need to.
Right.
So we can download it, upload the final, and then we can send it to the customer for them to approve. So if you want to involve the customer, which is typically always a good idea, you can. But if it's, a very basic situation like this where I'm taking a bitmap, I'm turning it into a vector, I may not need to involve the customer. It's up to you. So I'm going to just mark it as approved as if I am the art department saying, hey, we're good to go from production. But before we do, Marshall, we'll come in here and we'll add a note for this line. And we're going to say for this blue and on the production sheet, which you'll see here shortly, it's going to tell us the Pantone number. But what we're going to do is we're going to designate here, we're going to use a 110 mesh. I could say, okay, we're going to do a 70, 90, 70 durometer. We're taking it further and further, Marshall. I'm eventually we're going to have mesh, squeegee, angle, and all that, and be doing a lot of things because we do know there are some Deco Network competitors that really dive into the intricacies. What's always a challenge with developing the software is you've got small shops, you've got big shops, and every great new feature just complicates some things more. And it can be overwhelming. Software, the best and worst thing is how powerful it is. It's got a nice little learning curve. And that's why we do the onboarding. We have tons of great support resources. And again, you have people like myself that you can hire for that one-on-one experience because you have a 25-person shop. You don't really want to spend months trying to figure this all out on your own. When you
Right.
have somebody like myself who, and Marshall, you did the same thing at one point to a degree with Deco Networks' main competitor. I mean, there's just a lot of value of having somebody who's been in the industry and understands it.
So
So,
let me ask you, because we're running out of time here. Can you show production scheduling,
yep.
how we look at a calendar and how jobs are applied to that?
So we'll mark this as approved, and you can view orders two different ways. You can view it in the calendar, and that could be day, week, month, and you can filter by the orders based on process, production status, order status, or you can view the production in list view. And this allows us to easily, again, sort and filter by different statuses, whether it's an order status, production status, process, quantity, so forth. So our orders are not ready for production because we did get the artwork ready, but we physically don't have the shirts. We're still awaiting stock. So what I'm going to do before I receive stock, I'm going to search by the supplier purchase order number we raised, which in this case, 184341. So if we had 84341, if we had bundled several products or several orders into this one PO, it would be real easy to select all of those orders at once, download all of the order worksheets at once. And when that box of shirts arrive, I know this stack of order sheets corresponds with it. And we'll take the blanks, we'll take the order sheets, they'll come together and they'll flow together until production is complete. So this production worksheet, just so you realize, is going to include, I don't want to outsource it, is going to include all the details the production staff need. What is the size of the artwork, location, colors, and so forth. When the blank shirts arrive, we'll come here to purchase orders. We'll receive stock of them. We'll check them in. Yes, everything arrived. And now you can see we've ordered the blanks. We've received the blanks. Artwork is ready. We're now actually ready for production. The screen printing department doesn't have to look at every single order. They can sort by the process that's relevant to them. So in this case, we'll just look at screen printing. And if I'm in the developing room, once the production manager has added any notes they need, we can then update the production status to screens need developed. So if I'm in the screen room, I can sort, show me all the jobs in which the screens need developed. I'm then going to develop the screens. Just so you realize, Marshall, you can, with these worksheets, they do show barcodes, and you can be updating the order by scanning the worksheet and then the scanning in action, such as screens have been developed. And now I've let the press operator, whoever's next, know, hey, this is ready to be produced.
So, all right. So when my screen room scans the barcode, it automatically notifies the system that the screens are made without going into the system and clicking something?
Correct.
Great. Yep. And is that the same for running the job or receiving the job or shipping the job or whatever? We just scan the barcode and it updates whatever you just did.
Most things, yes. The one thing, and you said it there, and it's the most common, can I receive an order with it? No, you can't. And you shouldn't be able to, because you'd be assuming that Sanmar, whoever, gave you all the shirts without any problems, or you got to physically check them. But yes, Marshall, you can. You create an action sheet, you put it at that workstation, whatever is important. So yes, exactly. You can update orders. You don't have to be using a mouse and keyboard. You can use a barcode. And these production statuses, you make unique to your processes. You have complete control. So if it was direct to film, maybe you have it so it defaults to, designs need printed. Once they've been printed, maybe you have a cutting station. Designs need cut. Once they've been cut, ready for pressing. you can break down any process into those steps, let everybody know where it's at in the production process. And it's yeah, again, you can sort, filter. We all know where we're at. And a lot of these you control if you want to let the customer know or not. Most of the production statuses, we don't let the customer know. Most of the production, I don't care. They don't need to know that I've ordered those shirts and received the shirts. All that matters is I hit my deadline, but I can let the customer know where it's at. But once we finish production, Marshall, because I know we'll run out of time, we'll mark it as production complete. At that moment, it'll go from production into shipping. If it was a customer pickup, we can let the customer know it's ready to be grabbed. If it's going to be shipped through ShipStation, it's extremely easy to go into ShipStation, buy and print the label. The customer's automatically emailed. The order is automatically marked as shipped. Within the history notes of the order, the tracking is entered. Each step we take is being time-stamped. And if we went to your account profile, you'd see the same thing. I can then apply a payment, refund, credit, view the production status, payment, commission breakdown, any communication with the customer. It's very robust software.
Yeah, that's
Very
great.
powerful. We like to call it the all-in-one. Anybody ever wants a demo, please just visit deconetwork.com. And at the very top, you can request a demo. And again, lastly, I'll say, Marshall, we're just so happy to be a part of ShirtLab Tribe. I mean, it's better than I even thought. I love joining each Tuesday and Thursday. There's so much to gain, and really looking forward in a couple of weeks to the ShirtLab automation and hear and talk with other ShirtLab Tribe members and those not, and hopefully be able to bring some of those automations back to Deco Network and get them implemented, because Deco Network has brought on 3 more developers in the past 3 months. We're growing our catalog team, client services. We're really thriving and just really excited about the future, and our great partnership with ShirtLab Tribe.
Great. Well, thanks, Zach. Really appreciate you and appreciate the time today showing everyone about your software. So if there's any questions from any of our viewers, just throw that into the Q&A or the chat real quick. I do have a question real quick about the shipping, right? So I can print a packings list. You didn't go over that. Can I print a packing list?
Yep, you can. It's typically more common to do it through ShipStation, but you can through here as well.
Okay.
And
well, because one of the things that I've done in the shops that I run is the press crew was they update the job that we ran the job. They actually make the packing slip and put it in the envelope. And when that box goes to shipping, all they have to do is do the label part, right? So that was the workflow that I had. That's why I was asking that.
Yep, we can download a packing slip. Several different types. There's like 3 different slips, but yes, you can absolutely do that. And Marshall, I almost forgot, and I'm hoping you can add it to the very end. We do have a coupon code in which anybody who uses the coupon code, there's no license fee, and you can check out the software for 30 days before your build. So you're not going to get the full experience in 30 days, but we want to show you what's out there, compare it to what you currently have or any other platform. You have 30 days to try it risk-free, and I'll get that coupon code to you, Marshall, so we can show it at the end here.
Oh, okay. So you don't have it right this second.
Yeah, I want to say, but I should have known this. I think it's ShirtLab 24, but I want to get it perfectly for you.
Okay, so so if you're watching right now, we'll share that later. So look for that at the end of the video and also when we share it. So anyway, thanks so much, Zach, for hanging out with us today, and also for Deco Network for sponsoring ShirtLab. We really appreciate your support to make the industry better. And with that, I don't have any questions, so we'll close it up today. So thank you so much, and we'll check you guys later. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Marshall.